Hi, everyone. I am David Lipton from The Reckoning, July 4th, 2030. Welcome back to our time series talks ranging from 2024 to 2030. Our previous podcast was about Pearl Harbor. This one is about avoiding World War III. 83 years ago this month, the Japanese launched a surprise and devastating attack on Pearl Harbor. That event is seared into our national memory. We do not need another one of those events, do we? The point of this podcast is to make the connection between one, our slide towards fiscal insolvency, and our declining ability to project our power into the Eastern Hemisphere. I have a bold idea on how we could begin to solve these problems. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Sitting on the shore of Long Island on July 2030, staring out at the Chinese naval ships offshore, the ones described in my ebook, The Reckoning, July 4th, 2030, my granddaughter asked, "What could we have done differently?" The answer is crystal clear now. We could have been better armed and prepared. Here is my idea to imbue our people with the shared goals of halting our slide into fiscal insolvency, protecting our national homeland, and ensuring the sustainability of our republic well into the future. Here's the idea. We need to organize reverse bond drives and establish a national debt sinking fund. Some of us may remember the patriotic calls during World War II to defend our country by sending troops abroad to defend our friends and defeat our enemies. An excellent idea, but it needed trained men and women, ships of all kinds, tanks, guns, ammunition, and above all, money, and lots of it. Today, no one will ask you to fight if you don't want to, nor will you have to risk your home, your family, or your friends. No one will ask you for your savings. Here is my radical proposal. All Americans should stand ready to turn back annually to the U.S. government 10% of all government-sourced benefits received by all persons and your companies in the form of either cash or tax credits. Also, this is a major stretch, all 501c organizations as defined by the Internal Revenue Code are to pay a minimum of 10% of their annual revenues. At present, none of these organizations are subject to tax. The collected funds should go into a national sinking fund with the goal of reducing the national debt by 4% of its outstanding balance of the previous year. The fiscal discipline showed by doing this would demonstrate that we are determined to conquer our debt addiction and provide the funds necessary to project our power abroad in defense of our republic. Our friends and enemies will take notice of our determination and will act accordingly. I realize you are probably thinking, that sounds clear and very ambitious and likely not possible. Well, maybe so and maybe not. It will all depend on us and our political leadership. One crucial question. How much is the annual paydown target? Answer. 2.4 trillion. 1.2 trillion for annual interest payments on the existing debt and 1.2 trillion to retire annually a portion of the outstanding debt. These amounts are not fixed, since they will decline annually depending on budget cuts to existing programs, the reduction of outstanding debt, and the decline in interest payments. Now is the time to show that we are serious about our obligations to ourselves, our friends abroad, and above all, to future generations of Americans. The Federal Reserve has shown the way. They started the process of debt reduction by downsizing their balance sheet from $9 trillion in June 2022 down to $7.4 trillion in March 2024. That's a 17.7% reduction in 21 months. Very inspiring. While that is a lot easier than raising taxes outright, reducing the federal balance sheet does have the effect of shrinking banks' reserve and thus curtail the bank's lending. No more talk, no more excuses, no more BS. We are all in this together and must act or should act in unison. Determination and political leadership is what we need. I have one thing to say to all Americans. Yes, we can. For more insight into the mental pivot necessary to deal effectively with our challenges, visit Amazon.com and download The Reckoning, July 4th, 2030.